I'm going to talk about the point of this activity. So in this activity, you're asked these very simple math problems that all have the answer, the number 14. 7 times 2, what's that? 14. What's 14 minus 0? 14. And there's 5 or 6 other ones that are the same, leading to the same answer. So the point of this isn't just to test our math skills, right, or to be redundant or repetitive, but it's to prime your brain, as you probably know if you already did the activity. 14, 14, 14, right? That's what psychologists call priming. It's putting an unconscious sort of sensor, so to speak, into your brain that is then going to link to another idea. So what happens in this case is that you prime your brain with 14, and because the phrase 14 karat is a common phrase in pop culture, and even if you're not a fan of 14 karat gold, you've probably seen it, right? You probably heard the term bling, you probably watched some show where someone mentioned it. It's in other words, that term, 14 karat, is floating around in the back of your brain. So that's what leads to, in most studies on this particular experiment, somewhere around half the respondents say carat because of the 14 and carat connection. So what that shows is that you're engaging in fast thinking. And fast thinking is immediate, direct processing of information without any conscious reflection. And the conscious reflection part, that's the other half, according to this dual processing model of how our brains work, and that's slow thinking. Right? So, to put it simply, when you see you're out taking a hike or something, you're out camping, and you see a stick in the distance that's curved, and your brain first tells you that's a snake, stay away, that's your fast thinking coming in, because it immediately comes to you. Say, oh, curved thing, snake, dangerous, not going to touch it, right? That's all going on in your brain almost instantly. That's fast thinking. Slow thinking is when you say, oh, wait a minute, let me look carefully. Is that really a snake? And you kind of start to investigate it. You look a little more closely. You take a step forward and you say, oh, no, it's just a curved stick. That's the slow thinking part, the processing. So going back to the whole 14 thing, many people, their slow thinking, their fast thinking, their immediate association takes them from 14 to carat. And that's an example of slow processing. Now, let me just reveal a big misunderstanding of this exercise. It does not mean, this exercise is not saying that some people are slow thinkers and others are fast thinkers. The exercise is homing in on the specific way that some people think fast. It's saying, in other words, it's not saying that some people are slow and some people are fast. It's saying that we all are slow and fast thinkers. Now, some of you are probably thinking, yeah, but I'm not a fast thinker because I didn't think of carrot. Well, you misunderstood the exercise. The exercise was just showing one common association that was based on fast thinking. But if you thought of, say, broccoli, or asparagus, or eggplant, or onions, or chili peppers, many other things you could have thought of, those were also examples of fast thinking. The difference is that in your case, the 14 karat gold association wasn't as strong, and something else may have overridden it. So for instance, let's say you said broccoli. That means that you either like broccoli or you hate it, because if you hate it, it'll be equally prominent in your mind, right, when you think of vegetable. Broccoli may be the go-to vegetable that comes to your mind when someone mentions vegetables. That may be why you thought of it. It may be that you recently ate it, right? Whatever it is, there's some recent experience, some causal story in your brain we could look at and interrogate, and we could discover that you were led to that choice through a process of fast thinking. So in other words, don't pat yourself on the back if you didn't think of carrot, because the exercise has no right or wrong answer. It is just trying to home in on one particular way that people might think fast to illustrate the concept. But you still thought fast if you thought of another vegetable. Okay, so anyways, and now I hope that helps to explain the difference between slow and fast thinking. Again, slow thinking, it's just what it sounds like. Slow thinking is taking the time to process information, and fast thinking is immediate processing. It's that basic. But again, I want to emphasize that we all, according to the theory that has a lot of evidence supporting it, we all think fast and slow at different times, myself included, right? So it's not like you're smarter so you think slow more often. We're, as human beings, we all have the capacity to do both, and that's the point. Now, the reason why it's important to this class and why we're doing it is that this class focuses on slow thinking. Philosophy is about slow thinking. It's about deep processing, slowing down our thoughts to see what's really going on. And so you need to appreciate that slow thinking isn't always pleasant, right? A lot of times it's easier just to go with the flow and let the fast thinking take over. But fast thinking is where cognitive bias comes from, as we'll talk about later. So fast thinking can actually lead us to wrong conclusions. That's why it's so important to, at least sometimes, in the most important times, to come in with slow thinking and really analyze something, right? So in other words, fast thinking is easier. I don't really have to think fast. I don't really have to process much when I'm just watching an action movie, you know, and that's valuable. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But sometimes slow thinking is necessary to really think through the implications of something, and that's really what philosophy is all about. Try to figure something out by really engaging deeply with it.